I've got to say, by the way, they can't see it now on the camera, but I like your shirt.
Do you?
It's like a mix. It's like a brown with like white. They look almost like snowflakes, but I don't think they're meant to be snowflakes.
No, it's more sort of like what are the trees? Like a cherry blossom sort of flower.
That looks like cherry blossoms, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. It's some kind of flower, and it looks kind of wintry decoration on a autumn backdrop. It's very nice for the time of year.
Imagine a cherry blossom on an autumn backdrop.
Milosh is admiring your shirt from afar. He loves it.
Right,
I always admire Tim as well. Oof, especially on the weekends.
Let's admire this game. We're heading into Villa.
Forever the transition.
You see how I got it back on track there? So subtle, so casual. We're coming into Villa. It's going to be Talon versus FAV Gaming, two teams that have been struggling for results overall, and this could be a big one between the two of them. As Fresh said, Talon coming out with a win last play day, able to start sort of staving off that relegation battle potentially, but this could be a big matchup in the grand scheme of things overall, so we'll see just exactly how they do. FAV, they're going to want to continue the sort of point gaining they've done over the entire year, maybe not quite at this stage, but over the entire year not done too badly, and they're going to want to keep themselves out of that battle at the bottom. So, Talon, what can you do? What curveball can you throw them here?
Well, a DKB ban being number one is the first thing I look at. If you recall, Anatun a few times this stage has played it, particularly on Oregon, often the solo player coming in towards blue on the basement attacks. And needless to say, it's pretty damn good with the MK14. Teams don't want to play against it. Talon's saying, look, we know that's a massive part of their more global strategy, but also a very strong point for the individual player as well. Let's just get that one off the board. Otherwise, things look relatively standard, or bans that you might come to expect. The Thatcher and Kai pairing plus the mirror. Site number one, though, is of course going to be in Aviator and Games. Where else would it ever possibly be, Ace? In fact, to say that, last week we did see Dining as the starting site for a couple of teams. In fact, in both halves, it was the first site that got played. Here, you're most likely to be excited, though, about the Nook coming in for Azizu, a player that we've really lauded as being super pivotal to Talon last stage and back in stage one. Not as vocal or not as, I suppose, stand out as maybe he has been previously in this stage, but Canos has been the name that we keep on talking about, Ace. 2 or 3 games this stage, dropping double-digit kills, was the big pivotal player to their performance last week. Maybe another good games in the wings for him today.
Certainly one to keep an eye on for everybody at home. It's going to be the Iana that you're focusing on here. Perfect operator for him, given the way that he played last time out. Just getting in there nice and solo. You're not dependent on anybody. You can just react to what's in front of you. You've got all the utility you need. You've got your nades. You've got your own droning capability. You've got the Gemini clones. Such a versatile operator, and perfect for a Canos who might just find himself at the tippity top of the table again if he can find his aim and his shot, just like he did against Fnatic. Now Soldier immediately going towards that 90 window potentially, just cautious looking up towards the Wolf window there, trying to clear it out, but he needs to be careful here because he's got Shin just lurking, lurking in that bathroom underneath, and I don't know if Talon have picked him up or not yet, but there's a couple of players, Afro as well, he's on the red stairs and in a position to drop himself down to support if needs be, and I like this from FAV. It's a nice broad defence of the top floor with those bottom floor roamers.
Absolutely. I mean, you normally see it coming out of C4 wielders. In this case, you're looking towards Afro and going, but he hasn't got a C4. It's more that he's lurking around with the MP5K, by the way. I've got him a big fan of these days, lurking around on red stairs, just to kind of be able to give support downstairs if he needs to be able to support into the red hole.
Here we go.
But here's that C4 I was talking about. Biggest freebie of your life, and the sledge is gone. No contest coming in from Talon on the downstairs.
Perfect placement coming in from Shin on the mute there. So getting the absolute maximum out of that utility and just showing why it's so vital, why it's so important to these players, because he put himself at absolutely zero risk to get that kill. It is the absolute dictionary definition, Des. You look up Freebie, you'll get a little video of that kill. Now Legator, he doubles down and finds one onto Aziz with a headshot as well, and already in round 1 it's starting to fall apart for Talon here as they find themselves 3 versus 5 and still over a minute left to go. At least they've got the seconds on their side. The clock is with them for now, but a lot of utility just being used to burn out those Wamai magnets and allow the nades to start to push in, and Canos absolutely maximising their Soldier with a good trade, but for the time being we still find ourselves 2 versus 3 and FAV sitting pretty with the advantage.
Not doing too bad, yeah. I mean, Talon are at 60 seconds and starting to push their way forward. They've got 90 control, they've got the Aviator door control. It's the good things that start looking for your sort of setup into the push. The problem, of course, being you're in a 2 versus 3, so the numbers definitely in favour of FAV. They pick off the low health soldier off to one side, suddenly it's a 1 versus 3, and you can guess from there which way this round is likely to go. But to give some credit to the side of Talon, taking a second on the drones here just to figure out where these last couple of members might be. You can see the kind of line starting to form here as well. 2 down to the south, 1 inside of Vault, a good split, but also holding very passive angles and not feeling the need to peek everything that moves.
My concern here is both of them pushing in through that same door. It's absolutely understandable why takes up the Yokai. They're just looking to get themselves in a position to put the diffuser down. That's exactly what Canos does, and the cover from Soldier now is absolutely pivotal. And here comes the challenge from Legator. He's able to pop around the door. He does manage to down the man, and the kills come in, and the cover just wasn't there from Soldier, but he didn't have a lot of hit points. He couldn't hold it too aggressively, and Fav taking full advantage of that, managed to just pop around that vault door, find the man, down him, stop the plant, and that's going to be round number 1 going to Fav.
Yeah, a good first aggressive early round of 1 wager as well, coming out of the defenders. In Fav, the C4 coming in from below, the contestation around 90 up towards trophy statuary, just to slow Talon down, because if you recall, the running theme about this team over the last 2 or 3 weeks has been their pace of attacks. They've always left things down to the last 20 seconds to really make a push in, and often find themselves losing out to time or being forced into mistakes that they wouldn't otherwise make. So pace has been the big focus for me for them for today and all the previous play days, and no doubt the ones moving forward as well. So for them, it's going to be about finding that answer, dealing with these would-be roamers very quickly before you bleed out too many members. When they get 5 alive for an execute, Talon can look okay. It's just very rare that is ever the circumstance.
Certainly is, and we've just got our share scheme skins popping up at the bottom of your screen there. Certainly worth a look if you haven't already, particularly in the APAC region. There's some absolute bangers. I was just going to mention Talon's as it gets flashed up. Fav's is a beauty as well, but Talon's have got some nice artwork down there. A creature along the side of it. It's an absolute beauty, and certainly worth a look over. Round number 2 then, and having a look over their defensive trophy and statuary is FAV Gaming. They're going to be confident coming off that first round because they weren't really stretched massively. Talon managing to get a couple of kills in the mid-round, but it was a bit of flash in the pan really, and FAV able to fairly comfortably close things out at the end of the round. Now then, the challenge surely this time from Talon is going to focus on that downstairs. Typon's going to hold his angle onto that window on the lower floor. Going to dip away from that challenge for the time being, but Aziz knows that he's there, and that's something that Talon, I don't want to see them ignore this time around. They can't be giving away those freebies to the Nitros. They have to make sure that they are getting in there, competing with these roamers, really sectioning them off and killing them. They need to take advantage of that, get them closed down, and just get them taken out of the round.
I almost feel the need to course correct as well. Earlier on at the start of the game, I said, oh, it makes sense because Anderson plays a lot of DKB. It's the wrong team. I'm thinking of Cyclops there when I was talking about that. But FAV, they haven't really played DKB at all this stage, by the way. So just going back to that point, an interesting one, I think, more to help. Maybe on Talon's side, when they're on the defense, you want to see a lot of roaming coming out. I'm not too sure, but we'll see what that looks like in the second half and how they can capitalize.
We'll let you off, Des, don't worry. You have to keep track. You have to keep track of literally over 100 players.
Everyone gets one Muppet of the Moment day, and that was
yours. That was yours. That's absolutely fine. Normally you keep them to off camera. You keep them for the rank stack, but we're gonna let you off, Des. So
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do me like that, Tim?
Sometimes it's just necessary.
I'll tell you what. Fresh really enjoys watching me try and drone. And trying to get it into weird little nooks and crannies. He's like, Des, what are you doing? I'm trying to get the drone up here, man.
Jump up there.
That's great.
Halfway through the round then, still 5 versus 5. We don't have an opener coming in yet for either of these teams, but the pressure is starting to mount on FAV a little bit, but I'm just very wary of these players underneath Des. We've still got 3 for FAV under there, and it's a bit of a risk-reward. Typon's out on the Astro stairs as well, which means there's only 1 inside of sight at the minute, and if Talon get the wind of that, if they get a sniff of it, they might just try and push in and pressure Legator, but for the time being, things are still continuing relatively slowly. I think that's just 2 Nitros that I've heard detonated without kill. We'll wait until Typon comes off his drone and we'll get a better idea of whether he's had a chance. Yes, he has. So I thought that I'd heard 2 go off, and that's going to be 0 kills produced from them. That's at least a positive for Talon, but 40 seconds is going to start becoming the issue, Des. Talon stalling out.
Yeah, I mean, so many teams over the last few weeks. You can look back at the history. That's a beautiful grenade coming out of Canos. I was going to say, so many teams run Mute Mozzie these days against Talon to slow them down. It's working wonders. Number 2 pushing his way back up, trading out by Azzy a couple of seconds later. But Tim, there's only 20 seconds to play with. We keep on saying this about Talon. They've got to make it work now.
Great angle from Demic there, just finding the leg and shutting the man down. 2 versus 4. Shin is in a pivotal position, manages to find himself a kill, but shut down by Aziz. Demic with Afro, and that's going to be Talon managing to squeeze every last second out of that round, get it closed down and get it on the board. And I got to shout Canos out there. Second round there, second nade kill, second beauty, cooked to perfection.
Man's a chef, what can I say? The thing is for Talon there, I mentioned it earlier on too, if you give them 5 alive in that last 30 seconds or so, attacks often do work. And they played it wonderfully there. The nade kill coming through. They got it down to the 4 versus 2 very, very quickly when number 2 swung out to try and trade that nade kill. Brought him down as well. The numbers just constantly dwindled. And you saw it in that closing 4v2 as well. Every time it looked like FAV was stepping up for a kill or did get a kill, there was always a trade coming back straight after. So the team play from Talon is good, if not just a little bit slow at points. And good to see that looking better here. Let's see how things go on the downstairs, because this is much like attacking, say, Reading and Fireplace coming in into Cafe. You've got to take the top floor first, as if you were attacking Bar and Cocktail, and then worry about the downstairs. Very commonly, it is the same for this site. You want the top floor control and then to work your way down again. I'm sure it will look very similar here.
Exactly that. It's all about clearing out the roamers, getting the map control, and then working towards site from there. Very rarely on Villa is it one of those maps where you see the rush onto site work, Des. It's very, very rare, if you think back, that we see that successfully done. And it just shows how powerful the angles are, the retake strategies that can be put in place for those roamers that play in and around the map. So this time we've got a couple upstairs, Legator and Afro, just dedicating some utility. We've got deployable shield, we've got reinforcements. They're really trying to hold on to this. Now, it's fascinating from the attacker's standpoint to just keep an eye on them, exactly what they do here, because sometimes we'll have them just completely right off the top floor. They don't worry about it. They're just going to go in horizontally and go route 1 direct into site and get some kills and thus force those players down from the top floor just to come back and defend site. But you've always got to be careful. It's risk and reward, and you're allowing them to have the advantage of those vertical angles as well. Now, Shin, he's going to take a bit of damage on a very long angle there, and you've got to remember, generally speaking, I was just about to say, for the defenders, it can be more difficult to challenge on the long angles because the longer optics do tend to sit on the side of the attackers. But Shin just sends me a message there saying, you know what, Ace? I don't really care about them scopes. I don't care about the optics. I'm going to take this man down anyway. Gets himself a nice opener onto the Zafira of Soldier.
Just one of those, isn't it? Roni's just a little bit nuts, to be honest, at the best of times. And Soldier had a beautiful... It's one of my favourite angles in the game because it is so long, but so like straight and direct as well. Yeah. From Art Studio all the way up Red
It's
Hall.
probably one of the longest angles in the game.
That's what I mean. That's why it's so beautiful. And it's quite wide as well because it is a whole hallway, right? It's not just like a... This is the one here being wonderfully demonstrated. All the way up that you can shoot all the way from the Art Studio door down south if you so choose. Cuts off a lot of the rotations for players that will be moving between the west side and the east side of the map. Might not feel too safe in rotating up towards Astro side. Just think it's really valuable. But to turn that on the Zofia and win that angle, Soldier will be kicking himself a little bit on that one.
The only angle I can think that's probably quite as long as that is Cafe. From if you're in just inside a bar, inside a sort of VIP, all the way down to small bakery towards sort of the red window there.
Yeah, very true.
I think that's probably the only other one because you've got to think about the scale of the map, the size of the map, and that unimpeded line of sight. So there's not many as long as that, and Shin taking full advantage of it to find his man there. And we're still at 5 versus 4 coming into the final minute, as he's taking a ton of damage there as he just looks to try and push in through that single door. But now they know his location. I'm going to say it's only a matter of time until Legator just pops out and peeks again and manages to shut him down. But Demic is going to find that trade immediately. 43 seconds left to go, and he is able to push into sight. Softping's coming out, but we've got to remember, Des, we're not attacking the top floor here, and Talon are still losing bodies trying to get that top floor control. FAV are in just absolute unshakable hold of the top floor at the minute, and there's no chance really in the next 25 seconds that I see Talon with 2 men managing to assault onto the site in Kitchen and Dining downstairs successfully.
It's been so solo push though coming out of Talon all round. Think about the Zofia down to the south, think about the Sledge pushing inside a trophy just a moment ago, and then think about the player just playing for trades a second ago. It's all very solo. It's the same story here, and there is always a side angle being watched by FAV. But Talon, they do keep on finding the kills coming through. Can they get the shutdown here? No, they won't, as Typon finishes off as that clock moves towards 0. Not a great round when you consider teamwork for Talon. It just didn't really feel like it existed in that round, Ace.
No, like I say, you could be forgiven in that final 30-40 seconds for thinking that they were attacking onto Trophy Statuary because there were still players alive in there. They still hadn't cleared the roamers out. They still didn't have vertical angles. They didn't have any map control of the top floor, and it just took far too long for Talon. If you're attacking onto Kitchen Dining and you're wanting to go for a top-down attack, you've got to have control of that at the minute and a half, maybe a minute to go mark at the absolute max. You know, you've got to get it done within the first 1.5, 2 minutes if you want any chance of getting down onto the site successfully and not having to just throw a Hail Mary of trying to find kills. So Talon, too slow for me and lacking success in that roam clearance.
A little bit, not so much concerned, but kind of confused why the Flores comes out here. Either there is a drastic change in playstyle for Talon, where they get map control quickly, the Flores sits still and does his thing for a 30-45 seconds or so, removes things like the Banshees coming out, trying to get rid of ADSs, you name it. There's a lot of work for him to do, and given how slow Talon have been, I'm just not convinced it's really the right answer. Dare I say, and we spoke about this the other day, it took a while to see PJH bring it out on Bank, but a Jackal. They are being ravaged by these roamers, whether it's on the top floor, whether it's playing below. It doesn't matter. FAV are out in the map and giving them a real headache, and they need to get control of that. If you aren't, then okay, you're relying on things like the Nomad, but the problem is, as we saw last round, they want to run into these roamers. They do want to engage and fight them, so bring a Jackal. Make it easier on yourself. Bring things like the Lion, because right now, all that the KB ban is doing is actually hindering them in many ways, I think. Ace.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, and I think, you know, you look at the Flores and we think, right, have they recognised what the problem is? It was clearing the top floor that time, so I could make an argument that Flores is a good pick for that because they were playing into utility. So maybe it was the deployable shield inside of Trophy and Statuary that made it difficult for them to go in. You know, and that can be cleared out with the Flores. But what you've got to remember, Des, is they're not going to be trying to clear the top floor. And they know that. They're going to be pushing onto the top floor this time. So any roamers they need to deal with are going to be on the downstairs and are going to have zero utility because that's just not the way that it's played. They're not going to have shields. They're not going to have ADSs more than likely. They're just going to be down there roaming about. At which point, exactly as you've said, Jackal is the perfect response to that, but not bringing him along. We'll see exactly what the Flores does. I mean, it doesn't look like it's been brought to deal with any specific roaming element. As I say, that would have been, you know, looking at top floor clearance. It's not really his job, but I could see the methodology if it was for a top floor. Instead, they're trying to clear off main stairs with it. They're getting rid of some of that utility, and they need to be able to push forward towards it. But Soldier is in a position to challenge that, and I think this time FAV have actually just dipped away from that roam game a little bit. So Talon, they might just have something to work with here.
Absolutely. Good clearance coming out so far from Talon, mind you. The shield removed, got rid of the Banshee that was on the wall with a frag grenade. 3 of them trying to push him from the south. However, these ADSs still stick, both being burnt out, which means grenades can come singing up. Soldier going to push straight in as the C4 wards him off slightly. Lugator hits the deck, but loses the kill. Up they come on the main stairs. A second C4 singing over the trade straight back out. A 4 versus 4 and the war of main stairs. It's still raging, Ace.
It is. Demic, he goes round, manages to land another blow and take chip damage out of Shin as well, bringing him all the way down to about 20 HP. He is 1 bullet away from death. 1 minute left to go. 4 versus 3. Talon continue fighting here in this match on Villa. They keep slipping behind so far in the early game, but you know that they are banging touch now. In goes another Rotero drone, looking to clear out more of that utility inside of the site, just looking to clear the pathway towards that maps plant that they are going to be looking for. Heady is now on the north side. He's near that map store and he's ready to get in there. Typon's going to lose a Yokai going into study, just looking to see exactly what's going on. And Demic is up there looking to support Heady as well, who's ready to push in now with that diffuser in hand. Demic's got to be very quick, and he's got to be hot on the cover here. He's looking for that peak coming through, but I'm not sure he's quite got the angle. Aziz, however, manages to find Afro. Heady getting the diffuser down, and right now, FAV, they're on the back foot, but Typon out of the vault manages to get 1. Quick flurry of kills. We find ourselves 2 versus 1. Diffuser down. Aziz with a great round all around. Manages to get that kill. Close it out for Talon, and they level things up again 2-2. And I'm a little bit surprised with FAV. There's a lot of their success so far has come from that roam game, and they just completely removed it that round.
The real challenge there is, where do you roam when they're pushing up from south side, right?
Well, they didn't even start. That was the point. They never even really started out on the roam massively, so they didn't force Talon to go anywhere else in the map.
I think when you realise there's 3 or 4 players all pushing main stairs, you have very limited roam options, right? Like maybe you're thinking, okay, we can flank red stairs, we can sit in living and library and make something happen. It's going to be hard when those flank drones are set down, which is what Talon were focused on at the very start of the round. Then it was like, hey, there's 4 of us here. We can burn ADSs from study doorway, from the balcony. We can have 3 of us all pushing main stairs, 2 with nades, 1 looking to go for the swing. And it was just very kind of direct to sight for Talon. They didn't give FAV much room to breathe and make good use of roaming, which I think was a really smart idea. My only concern is now, how does that correlate across to other sites where you do have to deal with that sort of activity? It can be quite hard to go direct to sight. We'll see how things go when they step into trophy and statuary in just a second. FAV taking that tactical timeout because now that you've dropped 2 of the 4 rounds, not really a good sign really for the defensive side of Villa, needless to say.
No, you want to be claiming these last 2. I think what I was really looking for there was when Soldier was pressuring that main stairs and Legator, he's pinned in. I'm looking for somebody to pop up into Art maybe and just get a cheeky kill into the back of one of them. That's the way FAV have felt so far. They've been so unpredictable. Maybe a quick flank down red stairs, rotate through and put some pressure on those players on the ground floor. But it wasn't to be, and nor was the round, as Talon were able to take the win, level things up 2-2, and that brings us into round 5 following that FAV tactical timeout. We'll see just how much of an impact. Now, interestingly, Des, Typon on the pulse. He is one to watch here. I would expect to see him downstairs trying to play in and around kitchen dining. Essential that Talon clear him out. I'm going to say that in very clear terms here. They can't allow him to play underneath with that heartbeat scanner. 2 reasons. 1, he's almost certainly going to get an absolute freebie with a nitro. If he teams up with somebody else, it could be 2 freebies with nitros because he can give them very precise information as to player location. And then even beyond the nitros, just the information he will be able to feed. He will be able to pick everybody up on that heartbeat scanner because it's only 1 floor apart and they will have constant information, so they have to go and deal with him.
They sort of had a drone on the Astro Stairs side as well, so they know that he's down there. The question then obviously becomes, how do you deal with him? The thing is, they've got to deal with him. They've also got to deal with these 2 roamers down to the south. Echo, not really one that you see often used out on the roam like this, but he's even brought a shield with him to help him hold onto the 90 corridor. So you've got 1 holding out to the east, 1 to the west, and this, I think, is just almost trying to steer Talon and saying, right, you really want to attack into master bedroom, right? Come on, you can go for that sort of thing. The hatch is opened up, as you can see as well, so you're looking towards those C4s, maybe coming swinging in from below, assuming it is safe. Now, Talon, as I mentioned, they saw the pulse downstairs earlier on. They know that he is there right now, and personally, ignoring him would be unforgivable.
He's got himself back onto Astro Stairs at the minute, his Typon, and I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to put his gadget to maximum use from there, really, because the range out to that master wall is probably a bit of a stretch for him. I'd like to see him get more active underneath into dining kitchen. I think once he's confident maybe that all 5 are pushing and not looking downstairs, he may well rotate down there, but I really wouldn't like to see that opportunity wasted. Now then, we've got the hole just being expanded there to allow 4 players to walk through. We've got a Yokai buzzing underneath, and I think that is just feeding that information. You can see now Typon going into kitchen dining, and that's great team play there. The Yokai just being used more like an attacker drone to go in and feed information, and it's absolutely free, Des. Just wait for the information to start coming out, wait for the nitros to start coming out. Talon are going to rue the day they left a pulse underneath here.
They know that he's there. Like I said earlier on, they saw the man on a drone. They've still got the 2 roamers out in field on the side of FAV. If nothing else, sight is light right now. Like, they should be moving forward with a bit more pace. They've spent 2 minutes droning sight when there are only 2 players present. You've got 2 to the south, 1 below. No one is pushing them, and it's a free BC4. We saw that coming from round start. Nothing is done about it. 2 kills fly the way of FAV. This has just been a car crash round coming out for Talon yet again, unfortunately, Ace.
It's the only way to put it, Des, realistically. They've seen that pulse, they've recognised him, they've done nothing to prevent it. At no point has any Talon player gone into kitchen dining. Nobody has played on the underneath to make sure that that wasn't possible, or to even try and put them off doing it, and that is a big problem. 2 versus 4 now, mistakes aside, Talon have got to make something out of this round. 25 seconds left to go, they're about to lose somebody as Legator knows there's one at the top of Astro Stairs. He's just going to change his angle a little bit. Doesn't matter as Shin manages to find the kill onto Aziz. Soldier gets one back as a trade and a second 1v2, but it's still going to be an uphill challenge. It would have to be a 1v4 clutch overall. He goes in to get that diffuser down as time is ticking away. Legator's going to push through. He knows exactly where it's going down. Cheap kill as he moves around the corner, and that's going to be FAV finishing off the round. I love that pulse play. If you want to see how it's done, have a watch of that. The interplay between the Echo and the pulse, the Yokai drone just buzzing through kitchen dining. Yes, type on. You're safe to go in there. They've not played into kitchen dining. Go and put your gadget to use, and then bang, free nitro, free info, free round. Love it from FAV.
There's probably a level of Talon saying, right, we're not going to waste time pursuing the pulse downstairs. We'll just try and work around him.
How did that work out?
We'll stick on concrete. And this is the thing, right? We always say this as well. Just because something doesn't work, it doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea. If they can plant on the concrete, for example, or dance around the concrete for as long as they can, then sure, it's not a terrible idea. But as we mentioned, 2 roaming to the south, the 1 playing downstairs. And knowing that there's only 2 on site, you still commit 2 minutes to droning what the hell is going on towards the north side. It has haunted Talon for weeks. I keep on saying it, but I really feel it's the one thing that I am dying for them to improve and change is the pace of these attacks. You see 2 on site, pull a bit of T1 out your back pocket and just say, right, let's go for a rush now. Let's try and surprise them, make something different happen. Because you're giving FAV all this breathing room in this chance and they're disrupting wonderfully. Giving full credit to FAV, they are playing the game the way they should. They're getting out in the map, they're being aggressive and waiting for the challenge, but that challenge just never comes. And they're very, very good at rotating back to site, getting the C4s pointed towards master bedroom. They basically just steered Talon into an early grave in that last round.
Well, this is it. You know, I don't disagree with what you're saying there. I think, yes, if you recognise that there's a player or 2 off site, and it's absolutely legitimate to think, right, we're actually just going to leave them out in the cold. I think it's always risky with a pulse when you've got that much destructible flooring, but even if that's your choice, that's fine. But you then got to be aggressive towards site. If you know you're taking a 5v3 on site, you got to get in there quickly. You got to move. You know, you got to force those roamers to come back to support, and that's just not what Talon are doing. It's like they want to play the slow and steady game, but if you're going to play the slow and steady game, that only really goes hand in hand with going and clearing the roamers out and being methodical and making sure you got everything done.
Exactly.
You can't really mix and match those 2 things, and you've just seen why. You know, you've got to at least have a bit of luck on your side if it's going to work out. And FAV, they're taking full advantage of it right now. In their final defensive round, 3-2 on the scoreboard, and you do feel like it could be more realistically. Talon, they've managed to grab themselves a couple of rounds, but right now, I would expect to see them struggle here, because if we remember last time they were attacking onto this site, Des, it was a struggle. Out comes a Nitro unsuccessfully this time from Typon, but it is going to give him an angle, if nothing else, where he may well be able to find himself a free shot as somebody tries to move through that bathroom window.
Much the same focus again as well, clearing out the master side of things. The lovely Valkyrie camera set up there, feeding all that info back and forth. And Kanos looking to threaten his way off towards the east, just to get himself poking inside a site. Disrupt Typon, I think, is what he's gunning for. Admittedly, a little bit too late, as you say, the C4 has been consumed, but 2 more do still remain on side in the pockets of Shin and number 2, who could cause a bit of a disastrous explosion themselves, given the right opportunity. The info still being fed out by Typon, and here comes Azzy working his way down Astro. So a 2 or 3 pronged attack potentially coming out of the side of Talon here. Just trying to be wary of these disruptive players with their C4s. FAV, as we always know, love to be aggressive.
This is better from Talon based on what we saw last time around. They've able to get themselves some vertical control now. They've got a couple of angles looking down into sight, and that wasn't something that they achieved last time. We saw with only 30 seconds left to go, they were still fighting over trophy and statuary, but not this time. They're much more in a position to be able to aggress onto site, and even so, they are now forcing those players back down onto site. We just saw Afro rotating his way back on the Valkyrie. Here he comes. Now Shin just going to hold on to this door. He's in an important position at the minute. He's covering Typon, who's actually looking to get aggressive, pops out, finds shots onto Kanos, and once again Talon find themselves forced back. Heady taking a lot of damage, and Typon's going to play his life here, Des. He's going absolutely nowhere. He's looking to be just a hard and fast roadblock to Talon being able to get in here. He's switched over to pistol. Demic finds Shin. It's all falling apart as Typon gets shut down. 18 seconds left to go, but the clock could be the enemy for Talon once again. They've got to get in and get this diffuser down. Demic does move into sight. Afro, however, able to shut him down with a headshot. He knows he's being pushed from pantry, but he doesn't know about the vertical angle. Aziz finds 2, closes out the round. Talon somehow, Des, managed to walk away with a 3-3 at the half, and believe me, that is a steal.
2 kills from the vertical, a pole slightly mispositioned. Yeah, maybe a bit like overzealous, I think, on the side of FAV on their defense there as well, looking really to get up in the faces of Talon. Understandably so, it has worked all half long, but already look at the big difference. Talon attacking from multiple directions in the round. Astro stairs, laundry, the second floor verticals. They gave FAV something to think about, and things clearly they hadn't thought about, like those vertical angles, with both Azzy and Demic getting a kill from the vertical, mostly uncontested. That does balance the half out at 3-3. I would put that down on paper as not a bad half for Talon, so have walked away with the 3 rounds. Now, hopefully on the attacking side, we see FAV with a little more fervour about them, a bit more zest and desire to get some rounds on the board with good, solid attacks. And Talon may well look to play the disruptive game themselves. However, given the, so I just want to say, limited number of C4s, only really sitting on the mute, it does scream more that they may be looking to play on site. Keep a close eye on the Oryx though, mind you, as he could be the one causing a bit of late round disruption.
Now, I was very critical of Talon after round 5, and I will stand by that. But round 6, I've got to say, they impressed me there. Much, much better. And the reason that they impressed me was that they took what had happened before, they've adapted, they've learnt from it, and they've gone in and done things differently. They've got that top floor control much quicker and used it very, very well. So much better from Talon. Now then, we're going to move on to their defence in round 7. They're going to kick things off inside of Aviator Games. Their success on this site came from the main stairs push primarily, so we'll see just how much attention they pay towards that area. We've got Aziz on the Oryx just sending himself out towards that trophy statuary side. He's going to look to hold on to that. We know that by the fact that he's put those reinforcements up there. He's got some utility to support him, so they don't just want to let FAV into the north side for free, and I think that's a good idea, and they're going to meet some immediate resistance.
As they should. Right up at the edge of the building is what FAV's done to them all the first half. Time to lay back down some of the pain. Afro, we've seen quite a lot of Twitch rising up. You don't want to get me started on Twitch. I'll talk about it all day long very comfortably, as it seems to have done for the last 2 or 3 broadcasts. Demic looking to challenge with the MP5K, by the way, out the window, trying to keep the Twitch at bay for a little longer. So Talon are getting aggressive here outside the building and looking to keep FAV pinned back. But you can already see the difference in the styles of attack here with a few different focuses. You've got Wolf Window, you've got Bathroom, you've got Master. Already a bit of a split coming through to try and catch any rotating Talon members off guard. Soldier, though, and Canos still holding firmly inside of Astro to kick things off. And let's not forget, we are talking about a south side defense here. This is all happening up to the north.
Shin is poised and ready to go into Bathroom, but as you
This is actually crazy. Look how many there are off site.
As you say, Des, it's working very well for Talon at the minute, though. They've burnt away a minute and a half. The big question mark I've got here is, do they lose any men to this? If Talon can get away, maybe only losing 1, and get 4 back on site with a minute left to go, then they've done a fantastic job of this. That's absolutely perfect. Aziz onto number 2, and a second headshot onto Shin. Shuts them down 5v3, and what a defence this is turning out to be from Talon.
Much better as well to kick things off. It was him or the Nook that were going to strike hard and fast. But here it's Talon biting back. 3 kills inside the first 90 seconds of the round or so. Attack shut down. All the pressure on their side. A trade comes in onto Afro. FAV, with not even an ounce of an in this round, find themselves in a 1 versus 4. Talon say that's enough. Pull back to site and let Taipon suffer. Stew on this round and just how badly it has gone for the side of FAV.
Exactly. It's fallen apart. We would expect Talon really to be winning Aviator Games, but they've done it in exceedingly good fashion here, and that's what we like to see, coming out with a real strong message in their first defensive round, and it's really going to give FAV something to think about. It's also the first time today that FAV are behind, so we will have to see how they react to that. Soldier getting himself a nice peek onto Taipon. Headshot to finish things off, and I'm glad that it was Soldier, because I want to double down on a point that Fresh made on the desk, and that was how Aziz needs a friend. We saw it in Canos last week, and it's Soldier stepping up this week, doing fantastically well alongside him. I think that was kill number 8 for him. He's going very well. Aziz having a big round there, and that is just perfectly timed for Talon. What a round to take, and in such an emphatic fashion. 4-3 now. They've got the chance to go to trophy statuary. If they lock this one down, I can see FAV being a little bit punch drunk, thinking, after how that first half went, we had some convincing rounds. How are we finding ourselves 5-3 down here?
I mean, looking at how the first round played, yeah, for FAV, it's a case over the weeks where not so much they're slow, just a little bit disorganized at points. And the thing is, that last round, I don't even want to put it down to being disorganized, as he just absolutely slapped 2 of them when they were playing for the trade. On another day of the week, that's a kill going the way of Talon and an immediate trade coming in for FAV. In that case, he landed the 2. That was enough for him. The third follows through just after, and they get the full shutdown on the north side. So well held by Talon. FAV now need to be the ones to adapt. What I'm keen to see is, does this flip over? So we have a roam down to the south potentially. Looks to be the case, as there are a couple of reinforcements being committed down here. And then that's going to be a case for FAV to work from study side up and try and clear the entire map before looking to go in for an execute. That, or they go direct to site through, say, master or bathroom or whatever else they may choose up towards that top side of the map. I'm expecting some pressure to come in from the south, though.
You would have thought so. We'll also see if FAV learn from their own successes and look to clear out underneath. Now, limited in terms of nitros. There's only one on side of Talon, and that is sitting in the hands of Demic at the minute. I'm not sure if he's playing underneath or not. I didn't see him head down there, but just looking at the silhouettes, no, he doesn't find himself down there at the minute. He's going to be playing on that top floor south side, looking to prevent the Aviator Games push coming in. It is going to be Canos largely underneath, who's looking to hold things down inside of kitchen dining, prevent any of those vertical nades maybe coming in from a player like number 2 on the Iana, and just give a little bit of protection to the players inside of sight. But also, his function here is massively to waste time.
I love how both teams have ignored the south so far as well. Despite some investment going in from both teams, we've seen shields, for example, coming out of FAV. For Talon, there's a Banshee on the reinforced wall, I believe, as well inside of that 90 corridor. 2 reinforcements, a few rotates. There's just plenty going on to say, we really want you to push into us on the south, and both teams are just like, no, we want to go straight to site. We want bedroom, we want bathroom. Keep it simple, stupid, or KISS, they say, as the acronym. Shinton on the south side, there is no Jaeger to greet him here, Canos having already backed away. But with this control from below, they can look to get some nades coming out. So a big difference for FAV compared to what we saw before, but it's Azzy to find Shin through those holes in the wall, I believe. In fact, I think as he stepped out into the Astro corridor at the bottom of red, that's where the freebie came from.
Same opener as last round. Soldier just doing work on that breach now. Just the first Selma charge does detonate, but then an impact nade will clear it off, so it's currently not a workable hole. And guess what? He's going to do the same again, and he's going to keep you out of there. Now then, there's one Selma charge left and no impact nades, so the next one should be successful, but it's all about time, Des. That's another 20 seconds wasted. I'm just interested to see the placement of that. It's too low. They're not going to be able to get in through there. They can use the lines of sight, but it is not going to be possible to move in for any sort of plan, which, to be fair, is not the end of the world. We don't see players routinely moving through those rotates anymore. They're looking more for the lines of sight so that they can use the single door, but the time is the problem here, Des. I'm starting to get a little bit worried for FAV because Talon are still in great control.
And here comes the separated push as well. Some coming up from the south side. Number 2 for the swing misses the one as he finds one. Demic gets shut down in response, and the 4 versus 3 comes into effect. So FAV have got this multi-sided setup now. The south side and out to the east and potentially in bathroom, which should restrict Talon ever so slightly. But the numbers game was balanced out. Now it's a 3 versus 3. It wasn't balanced out. Now it's a 3 versus 3. Number 2 working his way forwards. Know that there was 1 or 2 inside of stature or trophy, sorry. Now they've moved themselves away, but the plan going down. Number 2 winning that fight is a critical kill. Lugate with another from Master. Canos in the 1 versus 3. Blank goes down. He sees the man, gets the 1 spray down, but where's the swing coming from, he wonders. Behind him it's going to be number 2 with a 3k in the round. This just goes to show the strength of those multi-sided pushes, Ace. 2 kills around red and landing and 1 to win the round.
FAV have come out and won that. There's no two ways about it. Great round from them. Never scared of that man disadvantage. Able to get in, get kills, and like you say, they just had faith in the plan. Trust in the process, Des. They went in there, they got those crossfire angles, and they shut them down. The big play for me was number 2, recognising that Aziz was moving up the red stairs. If he doesn't catch Aziz, or if he loses that gunfight on those stairs, forget it. The round is likely done because he's just going to hold himself in that position. He's just going to head glitch over the top of the stairs there and keep taking fights and make it very difficult to move through 90. So a really essential kill coming out from number 2 there to really push that round over the line. It levels us back up at 4-4. I'm getting excited even more than I was at the kickoff of this game, Des, because I can see that this one is going to be hard fought right down to the wire. Both of them are gripping tight onto this game and they want the points.
And who wouldn't at this point as well? If we keep on speaking about Azzy, but we've got to mention him again as well. 11-4 today. We said coming into it, it's been the Kanos show for much of this stage. And Azzy, although he hasn't played badly, hasn't been the tip of the spear as he has been for Talon in previous stages. But here already, it's looking so much different. And a win over FAV will be huge. However, does get that feeling already at 4-4 scoreline that maybe, just maybe, overtime is on the horizon. Looking at FAV's side, though, no massive changes coming into their lineup. We have seen a bit of experimentation over the last 3 rounds or so. The first round in round 7, we had the Twitch coming in, the Nook, for example. I don't want to call them cheese picks, but definitely a way of surprising Talon, who maybe weren't expecting it. And since then, we've settled into that Iana, the Lion coming in, the Ace de Flores, and really it's been Shin playing on these more flexy picks, going between the Ashe and the Finka so far. So whether they want the 4 nades or just the 2, of course, entirely comes down to what they need for the site and the round itself.
And it's, you know, it's much the sort of similar as we see out of Hungary for G2, for example, where the team's sort of ethos for the attack revolves around that flexibility and that rotation. And
I always called Hungary a weapon augment, right? It's like you got the team is a rifle. The rifle is a rifle, right? But you chuck Hungary on a Monty, a Capital, Ying, whatever you might choose, and suddenly the team's attack style changes, the approach they have changes, the execute changes. Shin, to some level, doing the same. It's more here down to one in the soft destruction, I think, or the nades and the Gon 6 coming out of the Finka. Very powerful operator in the current meta, and you'll keep on seeing her all the time. I love how, by the way, in EU, you tend to see it as either being Finka or Iana. Here, it's both of them at the same time. Because why wouldn't you? 2 Gon 6s, 4 nades, a good global stim for the team, the gadget coming out of the Iana. It's pretty terrifying when you look at it that way.
It is. It's an awful lot of utility to have stacked up. And the other thing is, Des, it also gives you a little bit of an insurance policy there. If one goes, the other one should still be available to do that same job, just as long as you're not leaving yourself short anywhere else. I mean, Des, they've got your nades for days. They're burning a Rooney laser gates with them.
The battle here really, though, is you haven't got a sledge. They said, okay, we don't need a sledge. We've already got 4 nades. It's not a problem. They're attacking downstairs. This is really where you need something like a sledge. So they're relying instead on things like the Rotero drones coming out, like the grenades potentially. Whiffs on the first one, but Soldier finds it off the backside. Heady steps up, but can't beat Shin. It's going to be a bit of a trade coming through between either side here right now. But for Talon, they're just about holding on. Soldier down to a slither of HP, but Typhon still taken out. Azzy, the demon of Villa, it's starting to feel like in this game, finds himself a 2-piece in the round and could be on for a 3rd if things carry on this way.
Oh, Heady on a different day gets himself a massive 2-piece there, but just unable to find either before being shut down. But if nothing else, it was the distraction that Talon needed to get themselves into an advantageous position. Legator able to take down the Legion mine there. Shin will manage to find Soldier as well, who was low health anyway, and we find Shin in exactly the same predicament right now as we come into the final 30 seconds. 2 versus 2. FAV need to think about getting themselves onto site. They've no real soft breach left anymore to clear that out. The sledge is not on the board. They've not brought him along. It's going to be down to Selma charges, if anything, to open up vertical angles. And as we can see, Aziz and Demic, they're happy to just hold themselves inside a site now and try and watch an angle. Now, Legator comes through, makes the challenge onto the pulse of Demic, but will not find a kill. Aziz onto Shin once again. How many times can we say that same thing?
Okay.
It's Aziz. That's another time that we can say it. Aziz with a headshot through to finish the round off, and he is just going absolutely wild at the minute. There is nothing that FAV can do to put the big dog on a leash.
You're seeing this aggressive roam game coming out from Talon, exactly the same as FAV did. FAV are clearing it a little bit quicker, but in some rounds, like that one, they are losing everything in trying to break it apart. Round 7, the Azzy 3K. Round 9, the 4K coming through. The man is really warming up into this game as we step back down into Aviator and Games, where Talon won earlier on. And if you recall, it was their 3K up inside of Aviator that did so much work for them. Azzy should have been traded by FAV, but instead found himself a 2K. Switching over to the Goya from the Oryx. Looks like here it's more of a hunker down, given you've got the Wamai and the Jaeger alongside in the utility stack setup that you often see with this combo of operators.
Absolutely that. Get the deployable shields out. We'll see one straight away looking towards that map's door on the north side. No surprise, I'd expect the other to probably be round in the 90 corridor by the door into Games Room on the left-hand side of your screen. We would normally see a deployable there, possibly one at the top of South Stairs. We'll see just exactly where those Goyo choose to go, but we've also got one on the side of Heady, don't forget, so we've got 3 in total.
Look what we've got on side Ace. Look at what the utility man's bringing.
We've got the Jackal.
We've got the Jackal, the thing we spoke about forever. Thought maybe we'd see it in the first half out of Talon, but we'll take it out of FAV. I think a similar story. You're seeing roaming from both teams. Why not bring along the Jackal and see what it can do for you? And stick it on your point man, Shin, rocking 8 kills, the highest for the team so far in the game. Should be the one you're looking to try and get in and do some work. For that, they do sacrifice the Finker, so they haven't got the Finker and the Iana as a combo, but they've subbed that out and instead now have the Iana and the Sledge. Sledge maybe not so useful for this site in particular, but it still at least ensures they have at least 4 grenades still to play with. And we commented on this the other day, actually, on Wednesday for APAC, that in EU, we see 4, 6 nades sometimes being brought along because Maverick is very, very popular and teams love playing around the nade meta. In APAC, that isn't as big a deal. Some teams still do it, as you're seeing here with 4 on side, but I think a lot of it just comes down to the destructive capability. APAC not as into it as maybe EU is.
Big mistake coming in there from the side of FAV. Legator just launching that Selma charge in there, but there was a Wamai Magnet that's taken it out of the air. One of his often forgotten capabilities of those magnets is to grab the Selmas, and grabbing kills right now is Talon. They're starting to find their legs and really run away with this. It's 4 versus 2 inside the first minute.
And where did those first 3 kills come, Ace? All towards the north side again. The only difference here is they've lost Canos, so it's an improvement for FAV on round 7, but you've still lost a man in trying to, or you've only taken down 1 man with you while losing 3 on the other side. Although the engagement has been taken pretty quick, playing behind the Lion, I will give credit to FAV once the EE1D scan came out. They did move in, they did push forward, they just could not win their gunfights. And Talon, same as last time round, go, okay, we've got 3 kills, we don't need to roam anymore. It's a 4 versus 2. We can play on site, we can play for trades, play it by the book, boys, and this round is ours.
That's exactly what's going to happen now. Talon just completely falling back. I often liken this, or I always pick up on the sort of comparison to a team like NIP when you get this sort of style of gameplay where it's a quick flurry of kills early on, early aggression, and then just completely dictate the pace, step back and play out the rest of the round. They are one of the best in the business, and Talon showing that they are more than capable of taking on that same style of play as well, and looking to clear out that Koyo shield. That's a second Selma device that goes by the wayside, shut down as Aziz pops up like a deadly jack in the box and then just stomps all over the heart of FAV as Talon take themselves on to match point.
Got to give a massive bit of credit to Azzy there as well. And this is something you wouldn't normally say for an APAC team. You do see a lot of aggression, especially coming out of, say, FAV or a couple of the teams in the competition. Talon, you may include it there at points. When the man first swung across map's doorway, he didn't say, oh, I'm going for the pop out here. He's standing there. He's waiting to challenge. I bet I can win this fight and go for the gunfight. He sat there and didn't move. He waited until that clock ran down, waited until the attackers stacked up on the doorway, then chose to go and make his push once the utility had been consumed, for example, and they were a little bit more distracted. It just showed patience. It didn't see I'm 15-4, I can win this gunfight. It was just good, composed, controlled play, and that is a beautiful thing to see.
Great trigger discipline. That's, ultimate. That's patience, being able to see the bigger picture, Des. You're looking and you're thinking it's easy in an FPS like Siege to think, there's a gunfight, and you're a nightmare for it. There's a gunfight, I'm going to take it.
I was just thinking in my head as you started saying that, Fresh somewhere would be screaming at me. For those who don't know, there was context where we didn't swing, he thought we did. We took a gunfight, me and Ace, both in towards bathroom on this very map when there was a laser gate set up on the bathroom door.
I'm not even going to try and defend it. I can see.
And we both died. We both died trying to go for this gunfight.
We should have known better.
Fresh went spare.
We should have known better.
We should have known better, but we didn't because we're excited. We like gunfights.
Exactly. We want to get into a gun, but he can see the bigger picture, and that's why he is a tier 1 player, and we're not.
We only see the small picture.
Exactly that. We just see a gunfight,
the thumbnail.
and we want to go in and get it. Whereas he has seen everything that's going on there, and he knows there is another 10 seconds to be burnt. He knows from what's in front of him that there's not an opportunity for them to clear that shield out. He's got his ADS in front of him. All this is ticking through in the brain of Aziz during this process. Yep, there's an ace there. Yeah, he can throw a Selma, but he can throw one that's going to get eaten up by an ADS. So I guarantee if a flash comes in or some other utility comes in and clears that ADS, that's the trigger point for Aziz to think, right, I need to take the next fight. I need to take it when it's available because now they can clear my shield. But until they do that, I can waste time here. There's nothing they can do. There's a big bit of metal between me and them, and it was just the thought process and just the presence of mind is wonderful.
Well, let's rename Azzy to Superman. That's clearly what the S means, because we spent 2 minutes bigging up him not peeking over a shield, and that apparently
17 and 4, Des.
A lot
17 and 4. 27 between him and Soldier.
You love doing this, where you stack two players together and go, oh, look at that kill total.
27 between
It's
two
more
of
impressive
them.
than
It's
17.
ludicrous. It's 2.5 kills. It's more than 2.5 kills per round.
Absolutely, it is, Ace. And
beautiful.
it could still get even larger. Let's see how the round plays out. The Lion scan coming in. As said before, this is normally when FAV make their push in, and sure enough, it's being used a little bit as the focus on the downstairs. However, Lugator surely should have confirmed for the boys looking to push in that this is indeed clear on the downstairs. That is a peach of a grenade coming in onto Soldier from below. This is something we've commended FAV for in this half a couple of times. Their vertical play way above what we saw out of Talon back in the first half, but it doesn't matter for Toffee if you're not getting the rounds won.
Clearing out the utility there to allow the Selma charge onto the wall as well. Like to see that they're not repeating the same mistakes twice. FAV coming in here and adapting well. Talon just completely giving up that bottom floor. Not too much of a presence at all, and it has allowed that vertical kill. So we may well just be looking back on that at the end of this game and questioning whether it was the right decision to give them the bottom floor for free like that. Demic is on seriously low health on the side of Talon as well. It's not looking good for them right now as the pressure mounts from FAV here. They're really starting to turn the screw and just really increase what could be a bit of a nightmare for Talon as the seconds tick by. We've got number 2 looking to pressure the stairs. He has no idea that Canos is there though, and Canos steps out and gets himself a nice headshot. Continues to challenge, can't get the second, but we have one coming in from Aziz. It's 3 versus 2, 39 seconds left to go. Big damage onto Heady. He didn't even react as Afro manages to take him down. There's a great kill from Demic though, but low health. Surely there's little that he can do now.
You say that now. They've got this north side set up. They're going in for the plant, and Demic, you can't quite see the man. Oh, the C4. Does it go off in time? Does it stop him? Oh, it stops him just in the nick of time.
That's massive.
The 1 versus 1. He's got him. Demic's got him down. Talon take round 11 and the match. What an incredible clutch to close out what has been a screamer of a game.
Demic take a bow. I love to see a big smile on that lad's face because he knows what he's just pulled off there, and that was big, Des. The team are going wild. Look at them. They are absolutely loving this. That was ridiculous. He had about 18 hit points.